Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mercy Kemboy. I am a tutor. I teach anatomy and physiology to diploma nursing students in Kenya. So kindly like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to look at planes and sections, body planes and sections. So we have three main body planes. This is the sagittal, the coronal, or what we call the frontal, and finally the transverse or cross-section plane. So we shall define this plane, then we'll look at a diagram that so for better understanding. So I'll start by looking at the sagittal, the first one. The first point there, as you can see, is the sagittal plane. So what is a sagittal plane? So this one is a vertical plane passing through the center of the body, the midline of the body. Remember when you are defining the midline? So the midline of the body, dividing it into right and left halves, or right and left equals. So it is a kind of plane, like I've said, it runs vertical. So this is vertical, like this. So dividing the body into the right and the left side equals. Remember, underline the word, the term equal. So it is dividing the body into right and left what? Equals. Then we have parasagittal. Parasagittal is not one of the main planes, but it is other planes running vertical on the sides or on both sides parallel to the sagittal. So if your sagittal plane is running through the midline, there are other planes that are running on the sides of that sagittal plane. Those that are running on the sides parallel to the sagittal plane, those are referred to as parasagittal plane. Of course, it divides the body into right and left, but not halves, not equals. Then we are looking at, next is the coronal or the frontal plane. This is a vertical, again it's vertical, but it divides the body into anterior and posterior. So this is a kind of plane that is running vertically at right angle with the sagittal plane, dividing the body into anterior and posterior. So it's a kind of plane that if I was to imagine it is running somewhere here, cutting my body into anterior and then posterior. So that is a coronal or a frontal plane. Then finally, we have what we call an horizontal or transverse, or you can call it cross-section. So either of those is correct, horizontal, transverse, or cross-section. This is a plane that divides the body or an organ into superior and inferior parts at different levels. So it is not equals. Unlike the sagittal and the coronal plane, which are dividing the body into equal parts, horizontal, it at different levels. Whatever level it divides, as long as it is dividing the body into superior and inferior part. So these are the three planes. Maybe I can show using a diagram. So this diagram is showing the three main planes. Sorry. So we are having in greenish. I think that is greenish. I'm not so good with colors. I think that is greenish. So in greenish, you can see that is the mid sagittal plane. It's running vertically along the midline, dividing the body into what? Right and left equals. Then we have the one in purple. I think that is purple. It is also running vertically, dividing the body into anterior, so the front part, and posterior, the back. So that is the frontal plane. Then there is a transverse plane. The one in orange is a transverse plane. Like we say, this is a plane that divides the body into superior and inferior at different levels. So you can see that plane, it runs horizontally, dividing the body into superior and inferior. You can call it a transverse plane, you can call it an horizontal plane, or you can call it a cross-section plane. So as we continue to study anatomy and physiology, we'll notice that we will be using sections that have been divided or have been cut using these planes. For example, when you are looking at this is a picture of a brain that has been cut into sections using different planes. So the first picture you are seeing there, A, is a brain, and then you can see the brain has been cut into two sections using a transverse plane. So what you are able to see there is the transverse section of the brain. Then when you look at the second one, B, the brain again, but now we are viewing it a different section of the brain, where we have used a frontal plane to divide the brain into two, the anterior and posterior part. So this one is a frontal section of the brain. So you are able to view the brain using the frontal section. Then finally, C, you can see that is the brain has been cut into section using a mid-sagittal plane, and you are able to see a mid-sagittal section of the brain. So there's a question there. Which plane divides the brain into an equal right and left portion? Which plane divides the brain into an equal right and left portion? Remember, we say that when you're looking at the first two, the sagittal and the frontal, they're dividing into equal portions. So the correct answer here will be what? Correct. The correct answer is transverse section, because this one divides the brain into superior and inferior at any level. So it doesn't have to be equal. So that is it for today on body planes and body sections. So watch out for my next video, which will be on body cavities and membranes. So please don't miss out. Kindly share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.